A while ago, I made my take on a VR version of Super Monkey Ball for a YouTube video, and since then, I've been pretty busy, working on new levels, making it more user-friendly, and most importantly, improving my video editing skills. So, after releasing the last version, I got a lot of mostly positive feedback that made me decide to actually take the game more seriously. But a lot had to be changed. The levels were my first focus. At that point, they were small and honestly, most of them were just me testing out ideas. Now, some people did recommend making them more similar to Super Monkey Ball, but I decided against it since the gameplay wasn't actually that similar. Instead, I decided to make them more multiplayer and speedrun focused, with several different intertwining paths to get to the goal. I also made the average length of the levels much longer and added in checkpoints so people wouldn't rage. Now, not all the feedback was positive though, and one thing that kept coming up was people worrying about breaking their controllers. So, to deal with this, I made it so that bigger and slower movements generally added more force, and that the center of the ball would always be at the center of your play space. Another thing I changed at around this point was the name and game icon. Now, with that out of the way, all that was left to do was to make it more user-friendly. A lot of people mentioned how hard it was to even see the ball because of how transparent it was, and honestly, it took me a while to figure out how I would fix this, because making it less transparent added a tint and made everything else look worse. So, I decided instead to add little indicator rings around your hands when they got close to the ball. Other than that, I added a menu and height adjustment, meaning my game was no longer biased against tall people. I also debated changing the hands, but nothing really looked right, so I left them as balls. Now, this is pretty much the state the game is in right now, and while it's not all that much, it's very different from how it started. And the average time I got from people playing through the whole thing was about 25 minutes. Which seemed like a pretty good amount for a demo. So I made a small trailer, released it on Itch, and decided this was a pretty good time to try to get it on Steam as well. So I forked over the application feed to Steam, and it took me 2 weeks to make the Steam pages and to get my demo approved. And since then, I've had a couple people ask me if I need music or translations commissioned, but I decided it probably wasn't a good idea to use my student loans like that. Now, I'm planning to make a role free to play, but I have a lot more planned for the game, like multiplayer and custom levels, and eventually I'll have to get some things commissioned. So, I decided to make a Kickstarter. To be honest, I don't have a lot of experience with Kickstarter, but after spending a while looking over other Kickstarter pages, I managed to make a trailer and page that I thought were pretty good, until I noticed one big difference between my game and the others. My game was going to be free. Now, most games on Kickstarter can promise game keys if you donate over a certain amount, which, from what I saw, was where almost all of the donations came from, and I genuinely couldn't find any other free games on it. Honestly, at that point I wasn't sure if Kickstarter was a good idea anymore, and I'm still not, so I've decided to delay its launch until I've added multiplayer and skins, so I can give an exclusive Kickstarter skin to backers instead, if I still want to do a Kickstarter at that point. But I figure the worst thing that can happen is it flops, and either way I'm still planning to keep working on the game. So the next things I'm planning to work on is multiplayer, skins, and global leaderboards, and those might take a while. So if you want to be kept up to date, feel free to join my Discord. I'm also planning to start streaming and making videos more often, so if you're interested in that, any follows or subs would be really appreciated. Anyways, that's about it, so thanks a ton for watching.
Okay. First try? Okay. Okay, sub 50, let's go. So free.